Hello everybody, welcome to another review video, and today we're going to be looking at one that I teased on my community posts and paid $188 for her, and that is the Hammond Collection Indominus Rex. Now, hold on, let me get this thing all set up first. There we go, so you can get a good look at it. So basically, how did I obtain this thing before? Well, eBay. There you go, there's your answer, because I know somebody is going to ask how you obtained it. It's eBay. It's the only way to get this thing, unless I want to drive all the way to California, which I do not, by the way, and I'm glad I didn't. And this thing, I know for a fact, has been getting a lot of hate, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding this particular figure. And I just want to address that because personally, hold on, there's something in the camera there. Personally, I don't think this figure is as bad as people say it is, and that's coming from somebody who owns it now. And there are a couple problems with mine that do not affect my rating with this figure, because they're just quality control issues. And quality control issues, in my opinion, should not, get that out of the way so you guys can see it better, should not, shouldn't, frick, I'm running out of words to say here, shouldn't affect your rating on the figure, because not every copy is going to have those problems. So, let's get right into it. Starting at the head here, you may have noticed that the screen, the movements are a lot smoother. That's because I set the camera to 60 frames per second. Hopefully my iPad can take it and doesn't crash. But anyways, starting off at the head sculpt here, you can see some very, very, very nice scaling right there. Here, really, really well done. Really like that. And obviously, the really long teeth. I will admit the teeth are a bit too long. But I think the biggest problem with the teeth is it's not that the front teeth are too long, it's the back teeth are too long. I guarantee you, if I were to trim these back teeth, if Mattel were to have trimmed these back teeth, then they would be getting a lot less complaints. I guarantee you. Some of you may disagree with me, but that's my observation so far with this thing since I own it. And by the way, it has a little bit of orange dry brushing on the teeth there. It looks really bad, by the way. The teeth are probably the worst part of this figure, because they do not look all that great. They aren't really detailed. They don't have any texturing or anything on them. They're just plastic. They're just thinned out plastic. It's nothing great, but moving away from that, you can see that right here in the gun, like above the jaw, on the top jaw here, you can see some pink coloration. On the back of the box, it's a lot more prominent in the promo images on the back of the box, but it's not as prominent on the official figure, which I'm glad it isn't, because I know the Indominus did have some like pink going on its lips, or kind of lip area, I guess you could say, but not to that extent that the back of the box says or shows. But at the top of the head here is where it really gets good. You can see some very, very nice dry brushing, some nice white dry brushing across the head here that really highlights all those little scales and details, and it looks really nice. It's unfortunate that it doesn't continue throughout the rest of the body, but you know, it is what it is. I personally do not have a huge problem with the base color of this thing. A lot of people do. I don't, because it's still gray. Indominus has always been gray. It's never really been white. I know they say in the movie it's white, but to be real, it's gray. Like, come on. Like, it's white. It's really white for a dinosaur, for like a living creature, but whatever. One problem I just noticed is the quills are completely attached to a completely different piece of plastic that's been slapped on to the back of the neck here. What? I just noticed that. I don't know why that is. And it looks weird. Don't know why they did that. Why they couldn't just sculpt it in and paint it. Why they had to put a different piece of plastic there. It looks really weird. But it is what it is. Also, there are no glass eyes on this thing, which I really don't care. A lot of people have been making a big deal of that. I really don't care this thing doesn't have glass eyes. It really doesn't matter for me. Both eyes look pretty decent. And painted glass, who gives a crap, honestly. And I know people have been complaining about how the eyes aren't the right color, or because they're purely red. And honestly, it's not really that red in the movie. It's more of an orangish color in the eyes. But what are you gonna do, huh? But continuing throughout the body, you can see some more of that nice dry brushing, except it's a darker gray going throughout the body. Highlighting all those like nice little scales and nooks and crannies and all that. Looks really good. It's hard to see on camera, but it's there. That gives you a better idea. It's a bit sloppy right here on the neck, but throughout the rest of the body, it's pretty decent for the most part. But we get into one of my main issues with this figure when it comes to the back. The quills. Indominus Rex does not have quills on this part of its back. I don't know why no one else is pointing that out. I personally don't like how there's like just random quills here. And even if it does, they're definitely not this long. I'm not a fan of those quills, but it is what it is, unfortunately. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, I forgot to show the inside of the mouth. Here you go, inside of the mouth right there. You can see some teeth, like kind of a secondary row of teeth there. Looks pretty gnarly. Top jaw, pretty decent tech color, modeling. It's not as good as other Hammond collection figures. And then there's the tongue. It's a plastic tongue. I don't know if the others have that kind of jig going on, but this one does. But we also have some articulation at the arms. You get the jig. Arms articulate. Oh, hands 360. You can go that way and that way. Speaking of the hands, I know this thing comes with an alternative pair of hands. In case you're wondering what the difference between these hands and these hands are, is that the fingers on these hands are closer together. That's the only difference. They are literally the same hands, other than that. So it's kind of a sad attempt by Mattel, because I think it would have been cool if, like, maybe they had like some alternate hands that you could use that were like a lot more forward facing to get it to represent it in a crawling pose or something. I don't know. That's just me personally. But sorry for the little sidetracking there. Also, there's some a battle damage wound, some detail in there. It's a bit weird looking in my opinion. I don't think it's the greatest. This is the battle damage piece. As you can see, looks pretty decent. The tracker in there looks really cool. I like the tracker. The tracker has like a nice little transparency to it. I wish there was like a blue effect going on inside of it to kind of represent it, lighting up or whatever. But it is what it is. In case you're wondering, the piece does not like snap in or anything. You just kind of push it in and just hope it stays in. I don't know. But Going back down further to the legs, you got even more dry brushing going on the back of the legs. More of that white dry brushing. It's a bit of a shame that they didn't continue it. Probably just to save budget. Despite them saying spared no expense, but I'm not going to lean into that detail because I really don't care. Everyone's like, oh, they are saying it spared no expense, and even though they did. Well, it's a billion-dollar company. It's a rather large billion-dollar company, so I don't really expect too much from them because, you know, they have way too much going on to focus on one thing exclusively. Also, bottom of the belly, forgot to show that off. Here it is. It's colored white. Got some kind of what is kind of representative of the T-Rex belly texture. Not really. Kind of, you know, there. Also got some of the details on the legs there, you know, scoots, all that jazz. Fingernail, toenails are the toenails, not the fingernails. Fingernails are not painted at all. Do not know why Mattel skipped out on that. First time they've done it with any Hammond collection large carnivore, which is very weird. You'd think they would paint it for the Indominus, you know, the big, you know, their big seller, because this is like, the Indominus Rex in general is like one of their best sellers. I don't know why they'd kind of skip out on it like that, you know. As you can see, going throughout the tail, we got some scoots here, and it's a bendy wire tail, so you can bend it to make it look like that. I've never really been a fan of their bendy wire tails. Like, it's a cool idea, but I don't like how it, like, kind of have to look at that to bend when bending its tail. It just looks unnatural and weird and funky looking. Also, tail can, you know, go around. Luckily, it's an all rubber tail. Don't know why it took up until like the Spinosaurus to get all rubber tails. Don't know why they didn't just make the Giganotosaurus's tail all rubber, but that's just me. Ankle articulation, as you can see. And these, of course, go back and forth. Takes some muscle to get it to go that way, though. It takes a lot of muscle to do that. And I really don't like doing it because I don't want to break the figure, because it feels like I'm going to break it if I do that for too much. But that's just me personally. And in case you're wondering, the other side of the figure looks pretty much the exact same. There's no differences whatsoever. Same thing on the other side, you know. Oh, bottom of the feet. Personally, I think the feet are way too thick. They look way too big and bulky. They really should have been thinned down and skinnier and sharper looking, because they look kind of dull, not gonna lie. You know, and also neck articulates, you know, can do that. Twist all the way around. Same with this. Can twist all the way around. Can look up, can look down, side to side. I had pretty much same articulation as Spinosaurus. This opening and closing mouth, you know, mouth can open in all the way like that. And, you know, close. Tongue can, you know, move like that. And open down, up and down, down. Legs can go back and forth, you know. Oh, you know, bend at the knee, can twist the knee. Same with this bottom part right here, you can twist it both sides. Same with the leg. You can go down, up, swing, swivel, you know. It's the usual Hammond collection articulation. It's nothing new, really. It's really nothing all that new. It's nothing groundbreaking, because, you know, Mattel, they gotta make some expenses somehow. But now I'm gonna get into some problems I have with this figure, even though I already pointed out one of them, which was the quills on the back. Problem number one, it's not the right shade of gray. It's more of a brownish gray when it should be more of a bluish gray. Problem number 2, back teeth are too long, obviously. The feet are too wide, and the claws are not painted. Yeah, but other than that, I don't really have any other problems. But my copy does have some problems, which you may have noticed some of them while I was reviewing this. For one, the head does not like to stay up. See? Just topples back over. Like if I move it a little bit, look at that. See? Cannot get the head to stay up. It does not stay up. And another problem mine has, look at that. The bottom jaw is not attached to the joint it's supposed to be attached to. It doesn't click in like the top jaw does, where the top jaw stays in place. The bottom jaw does not. It goes everywhere. Bottom jaw does not stay in place. It goes back to where it was, which is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Which is why I think I'll probably be getting the official release along with this. Because, you know, I want an Indominus that has a jaw that articulates properly rather than just goes back into place like that. Because that's why I have this thing's mouth open when I display it, because its jaw does not stay closed. It just springs back open. Another problem that I have with mine, I don't know if this applies to all of them. I've seen another person's who has a similar problem. Because of how long the teeth are, they tend, whenever you close the mouth, the teeth, there's a chance that the teeth will bend in while you're closing it. Like, it's not doing it right now, but it does have a chance of doing that, where if you close it, where you close the mouth, the teeth will, like, bend into the mouth and get, like, stuck like that, you know, like that, pretty much. And that's one major issue. That's another issue I have with this figure. Is, it just goes to show that the teeth really are too long. Pretty much, which is something we already knew. And the neck joint here is getting really loose. I do not remember it being this loose. I'm pretty sure it was a lot stronger before, but now it is getting very loose. So now I kind of just have to pose Indominus like this. Because I can't really make it look upward. But it's not like I really like it looking upward. It looks better looking forwards anyway, in my opinion. Like, it looks pretty cool doing that. But when you get its neck in like the pose it's supposed to be in, it looks a little derpy, not gonna lie. And I made a post on Instagram putting this thing in the most neutral pose I could. Like a pose that was as close to like the reference to like the style guide as possible. Like, I posed it next to the style guide as best as I could, but in an Instagram post. Well, I didn't put it next to the style guide. I just kind of told everybody else to do it themselves, because I didn't want to go through the trouble of like trying to figure out how to make it like blend in with the style guide or whatever. I don't know. Oh, I just wasn't feeling it, but I did put a post on Instagram with this thing in the same pose as the style guide one, to give you an idea as to how accurate this thing is. And yeah, there's definitely some noticeable inaccuracies. But the question is it better than Nanmu? Well, I don't own the Nanmu one. But when you compare this, when this thing goes to market, it's going to be about $60, right? And it's a rather large figure. Rather large Indominus that's superposable. The Nanmu one is I think smaller than the Hammond Collection Carnotaurus, like a little bit smaller, if not the same size. And sure, that's super articulated. It's probably more articulated than this, and it's more accurate. But that thing is more pricey, and it's kind of harder to get because you gotta buy it offline, and it takes longer to get here. Hammond Collection Indominus, if you have a Target next to you, you could just go there and get it if a scalper hasn't like already gotten it, and get that for $60. So this thing is pretty much worth the price of two. This thing, like a Nanmu. Ooh, heck, sorry, running out of words. But in other words, with the price of a Nanmu figure, the amount it costs to get the Nanmu Indominus, you could get 2 Hammond Collection Indominus Rexes, pretty much. If I'm not wrong. Something similar to that. So it's really up for debate whether this thing is worth its price or not. Because I paid $188 for this thing. But I'm not going to like act like I paid like everyone else is gonna have to pay $188 for it. Because when this thing goes to market, it's not gonna cost that much. So I'm not gonna like treat it like it's a figure that's $188, because that would be extremely stupid, right? That would be stupid. And of course, mine does have like one issue with the jaw, but honestly, I'd rather have that issue than a certain other YouTuber. Can't remember his name. He speaks a different language. But he bought an Indominus off of. He lives in Mexico, and he bought an Indominus Rex off eBay as well. It was actually the other Indominus Rex I was thinking about buying, but I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't, because that one has a lot more issues than this one. This one I bought for a lot cheaper than his. Then he had to pay for his. This one was actually in a bidding auction. And it had a buy now option, and obviously I got the buy now option. Because if I waited for somebody to bid on it, then the bid could have gotten all the way up to $300. So yeah. But overall thoughts on this figure, it's not perfect. This by no means is this Indominus Rex perfect. Like this is probably the weakest out of the much recent larger carnivores, and I would say this is like a 7 out of 10 of a figure, 6 or 7, and I don't want to see any comments and it's doing the 6 or 7 meme. I'm so tired of that. I am so gosh darn tired of that trend, dude. I just want it to die out. If anybody says it in the comments, I'm deleting the comment. No questions asked. But yeah. But I do think Mattel could have made improvements. Like, for instance, like, they could have taken the budget that they used to make these hands that are kind of useless, and use that budget to, like, I don't know, like, give it some, and maybe, like, give it some better paint, and maybe cut some other areas off. Like, there are some areas that do need to be cut down, like the feet, for instance, and the teeth, and the quills on the back. I feel like if they cut down those, then maybe they could have had a budget to paint the toe, the finger claws, and maybe the figure like a better color. Like, if they just kind of got rid of those problems, I would be fine with it. But, I'm still happy to have this figure in my collection. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome having a articulated Indominus figure at this size. No questions asked. This thing is awesome. If you're like, if you're into like super articulated, like, Jurassic World figures, but don't want to pay like $100 for the Nanmu stuff. I know there are some people who are gonna debate on whether or not this is actually, like a good figure or not. I've heard people say that this isn't a good figure. It's a mid figure in my opinion. It's a middle figure, not mid. It's a middle. It's an in between figure. It's not bad. It's not good. It's in the middle, in my opinion. It could have been worse. I'm personally glad that Mattel just didn't, like, you know, reuse any of the mainline sculpts to make this. That was the number one thing I was afraid of, because that would just show a sign of laziness, and they have done that with some of the newer releases that are coming out, such as the Scorpius Rex and the Mutodon, which is why I won't be getting those figures, because they do not look good at all. Oh, personally, yeah, I do think that there are some features of this figure that definitely could have been improved on. And personally, I think that if you in general just are planning on getting the Nanmu figure instead of this, I wouldn't really do that. And the reason why is because, well, if you have... I've already messed this sentence up, heck. I just forgot what I was going to say. But anyways, alright, now I got it. But the reason why I wouldn't get the Nanmu Nanmu figure is because you're getting a much smaller and somewhat more delicate figure for a much higher cost. And personally, I think that this figure, you could very much save this figure by simply just cutting down the teeth and giving it a new paint job. And just, what I mean by that is just painting it white. Like, if you did all that, then this figure would, then I wouldn't really bother getting the Nanmu figure if you could do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't get the Nanmu one, I'm just saying that, you know, I'm just saying that you should maybe reconsider your budget personally, because that's one thing that I struggle with. So I'm just kind of giving out advice that I'm just kind of giving out advice here as a personal collector. But I'm rambling on way too much right now, personally, obviously. This video has just gone off the rails. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't buy the Nanmu stuff. I'm just saying that if you're looking to save money, then I would recommend that you just buy this thing and maybe edit it a little if you can. Because this is a figure that can be redeemed. It's a figure that you very much can redeem, and it's not entirely awful. It's not an entirely awful figure, like people say it is, but it can be better. It could be better. But anyways, I've been rambling on for too much. Sorry. I wouldn't blame you if you maybe skipped ahead a little bit, but on to the part of the video that I should have done like 10 minutes ago, and that is the comparisons. First one we're gonna do is one of my childhood T-Rex toys. As you can see here it is in comparison to the Indominus. As you can see, the Indominus could pretty much just bite this thing in half if it wanted to. And it's quite a bit bigger, because like I said earlier, this is a rather large figure that could get some improvements. But if you can't make those improvements at all, then I guess you could buy the Nanmu figure if you really want to. I just personally am not going to buy any of the Nanmu stuff because I want to save money, and also I like bigger dinosaur figures. That's just me personally, you know. Next one is last review, the Mutodons, which didn't do too well. That video did terribly. Good thing I'm not going to be getting a Hammond collection Mutodon. But as you can see, this thing is quite a bit larger than them. Quite a good bit bigger. Some other comparisons here. We got a Here it is next to the, darn it, fell over. Here it is next to the Scorpius. If it can stand up. But there it is next to like the Scorpius, kinda. As you can see right there. As you can see, the Scorpius is a good bit smaller than this thing. I would say these two scale a lot better next to each other than than with the mainline Indominus. Here it is next to the Indoraptor. Once again, oh my gosh, dude, this figure. I wish I had a stand. I really did, but here it is next to the Indoraptor. As you can see, quite a bit bigger. Here, honestly, in a way, you could actually just make your own. If you really wanted to, you could actually take like the super articulated Indoraptor and like give that the alternative head. If anybody's done that, then you could actually like have like a proper comparison between like a Hammond collection Indominus with like a custom Hammond collection Indoraptor. I don't know, because these two scale, because the Grab and Growl Indoraptor scales pretty well with this Indominus, honestly. Like this Indominus so far scales pretty well with like some of the mainline hybrids, because mainline Indominus is a good bit small in comparison. But here it is next to the Habitat Defender Triceratops. As you can see, Indominus is quite a bit bigger. It's pretty iffy as to who would win this fight, but Indominus probably would win because it's quite a bit bigger, and who knows what those arms are capable of. Who knows? No one YouTuber said that it was able to flip over a truck with it, but if you pay attention to the movie, you would see that it used its head to do that, not its arms. Here it is compared to the Hammond Collection Stegosaurus. As you can see, it's a good bit bigger than the Hammond Collection Stego, which is unfortunate because Stego should be bigger. This thing should be bigger. I don't know why they made it so small. Should be like the size of the Beast of the Mesozoic one. Which I've considered getting that, but I don't think I will because of how big it is. I don't think I have that space. I know I said I like big dinosaurs, but that one's even an iffy for me, especially when it comes to its price. Here it is compared to the Hammond Collection Carnotaurus. Yeah. You can see right there, Carno's quite a bit smaller, as it should be. Many people say this Indominus looks ugly, but I guarantee you if this Indominus was revealed before this Carnotaurus, then people would not be saying that. Like, I guarantee you people would say this is the best Hammond Collection figure if the Carnotaurus wasn't revealed. If they revealed this thing before the Carnotaurus. Speaking of reveals, they should have revealed this thing last year. I'm still mad about that. I'm still mad they didn't reveal it last year because it was the 10-year anniversary of Jurassic World. It would have made sense, but whatever. It's too late for that. Here it is compared to a Hammond Collection T-Rex. Not a Hammond Collection, a mainline T-Rex. Or reimagined, whatever. As you can see, Indominus is quite a good bit bigger than it. And a lot more menacing than it. Looks a lot. Which brings us to the next comparison, which is, I made a community post on this already, and and of course I'm gonna just put it on the video right now. Why am I bringing this guy out? Well, it's because there's this really stupid thing going on where people are saying this looks like this. I'm sorry. And when I saw those comments, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, please explain to me. Please, by all means, explain how these two are so similar. Please explain. By all means, explain to me how this looks like it was made by the same people who made this. Nope, my iPad's running out of battery. Probably should rush for these. But yeah, as you can see, Hammond Collection Indominus is a good bit bigger and cooler looking, in my opinion. I absolutely would have killed for this thing as a kid. Because this is what I had as a kid. This is what I wish I had as a kid. Like, I would have absolutely killed for that Hammond Collection Indominus, guys. I would have loved the ever-living heck out of it if I had it as a kid. But here it is in comparison to the reimagined Indominus Rex. As you can see, the Hammond Collection one's bigger. Reimagined. A lot of people say the reimagined has a more accurate head sculpt, which is kind of true. I mean, I'm not going to debate on that. Like, it's not like a really stupid statement like saying the Hasbro Indominus looks like the Hammond Collection one when it doesn't at all. But here it is compared to the Destroy and Devour Indominus. And for once on this channel, we actually have an Indominus that's bigger than Destroy and Devour, because the Hammond Collection one is bigger. For once, we have a much bigger Indominus for once. I didn't bring out the Super Colossal because, we already kind of know how big the Super Colossal is. We already know that that thing's bigger. Here it is compared to the Hammond Collection Spinosaurus, which is the figure that really should have released this year, and the Hammond Collection Indominus really should have been the one that released last year. Like, the release dates for these two should have been swapped, honestly. They should be swapped. But as you can see, in terms of the size, I would say the Indominus is indeed bigger, actually. And in case you would disagree with me, take a look for yourself, if I can even pose these two correctly. Because as you can see, Indom is, though these two are pretty much the same length, I know you'll, actually, I probably should, darn it, probably should pose it a little better. Spino does not want to stand today, by the way. Spino sucks. Yeah, I'm actually going to hunch the, just to make it a little bit more fair, I hunched over the Spino's neck. As you can see, they're basically the same length, but Indominus is actually taller if you look at it. Or if you look at it enough. Indominus is indeed taller and beefier than the Spino. So you can tell me who would win that matchup, because I don't really care. I think Indominus would win personally. I just think it would win. I personally do. And here it is compared to the Giganotosaurus. Which does not want to keep its tail up. It's kind of hard to get the Giga's tail up here. Let me swap their places. Swap places here for a sec. Gosh, this is proving a lot more difficult. This is why the Giga's tail should have been just fully rubber. This is impossible. Alright, there we go. There you go. That's good enough. There you go. As you can see, the Giga is longer. But, surprisingly, the Indominus is somehow bigger. I'm not kidding. Indominus is actually bigger than the Giga. If not the same size, Indominus might actually be bigger than the Giga. So we might actually have a new biggest Hammond collection theropod. That is surprising. I honestly thought the Giga was bigger. I never really put them next to each other. I just kind of assumed the Giga was bigger. It should be bigger. It should be, but it isn't. Here it is compared to the mainline, to the Kenner Red Rex. If I could get her to stand. There you go. Nope, she's gonna fall. There you go. As you can see, Indominus is definitely bigger and longer, but these two scale pretty well with each other, honestly. They scale pretty well with each other. Pretty much in scale, actually, I would say. Now, for the ultimate test. Can it outdo the Bull T-Rex, is the question. I know I have a bigger Bull T-Rex. It's on the shelf, but I'm not going to bring it down quite yet because it's currently being worked on. I'm currently working on it. But as you can see, these two, in terms of scaling, looking at them from my perspective, on camera, they look to be about the same size, but the Bull T-Rex is still bigger, by the way. It's still bigger. So Mattel has not dethroned the Bull T-Rex quite yet. It has not. They haven't done it quite yet. And I don't know if the only way they're going to be able to is if they bring out like the D-Rex or something like that. D-Rex is like the only thing that they got left that can actually dethrone it, and it probably will. But final thoughts, is this figure worth it? It's really up for you to determine whether this is a good figure or not. I personally can't really decide whether this is a good figure or not myself. But there is one thing I will definitely not disagree with, is that this thing looks really freaking cool on my shelf. Like, seriously, this thing, after I got this thing and put it on my shelf, I could not stop looking at it for days. Because it looked so good up there. It looks good on a shelf. Not exactly the greatest figure to, like, toy around with. It's not very fun to, like, move around and play with, kind of like the other Hammond collection stuff, like the Spinosaurus, for instance. Like, this thing's fun. It feels sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's going to break. Indominus, its neck just falls, and it kind of feels not, and it kind of just is a little loose in some areas and heavy. So in case you're wondering, yes, the Spinosaurus toy, this Hammond collection Spinosaurus, is a better figure. And that's the one time you will see me defend Spinosaurus for once on the channel. That's the one time you will see me favor a Spinosaurus over a Indominus Rex. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I don't know if you guys are gonna watch all of it. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and sorry for all my rambling. Hopefully I won't do that again, but until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye.